What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Bartley and Barnes. This is episode 3 of our return. Bartley and Barnes returns, episode 3. How is everybody doing today? I am doing as good as I can be, considering everything going on in the world. How about yourself, Mr. Barnes?
I'm all right.
You're all right? You're all right?
Not bad.
Yeah?
You know,
yeah. Nothing like the little scare you had earlier. Yes.
Shock the life back into you or out of you, depending on which way you look at it. But
yeah, exactly. Well, we got a bunch of cool stuff to talk about today. I've been looking forward to this episode very much because we did assign some cool homework assignments last week, so I'm looking forward to talking about those.
Yes.
We also have a great topic that we kind of came up together. I had an idea, and you kind of extended it. So with Emma being out this week, we wanted to talk about, I suggested talking about favorite Jane Austen adaptations. And while there are a lot and some good ones, that's kind of limited. So Keith said, let's talk about favorite classic novel adaptations. And that sounds awesome. And as I was putting my list together, I was like, wow, those are some movies I didn't even think about when I was, because at first I went off the top of my head. Yeah. And then when I looked some up, I was like, oh, of course. Because there's movies that I knew they're based off novels, but I wasn't thinking of them that way because you kind of think of them as movies first.
Yep.
But they are based off of novels.
Yep.
And so we're gonna jump to a whole bunch of stuff today. And if you're thinking, wow, so last week they talked about their favorite rappers of all time, and now they're talking about Jane Austen movies. Yep, yes. That's what Bartley and Barnes is. We are a very diverse show where we talk about a variety of stuff. We talk about sports, movies, television. Who knows what we're going to talk about on this show? Let's get to it. But first, look at our shirts. If you're on audio, you can't. But so Keith is wearing the Bartley and Barnes official shirt. You can find these shirts on TeePublic. If you go to TeePublic and search Apocalypse, like spelled here on my shirt with an O, that reels an O. You can find our shirts. We have several shirts on there. Apocalypse shirts, our movie YouTube channel. And then we have some Bartley and Barnes shirts. You can get them in different colors. So please go check those out. That would be fun if we could see some of you guys rocking that. So yeah, you'll see us rocking different Apocalypse shirts every now and then on this show. So Keith, before I get to Emma, have you been watching anything interesting as of late?
Yes. So we had a lot to talk about on Apocalypse Now, so I didn't get to this. I've been on vacation from work for the last 2 weeks, so I've been watching a lot of stuff. I talked about The Invisible Man. We talked about that on Apocalypse Now last week. I watched two movies on Amazon. The first one stars Jillian Bell. It's called Brittany Runs a Marathon.
Wow.
I highly recommend it.
Really?
Yes. It's very, very good. Jillian Bell, comedian. You've seen her in any of the comedies that you've seen in the last 5 years or so. You've probably seen her. She played Seth Rogen's wife in the one Christmas movie that him and Anthony Mackie.
Oh, yes, in The Night Before.
Night Before, yeah.
Yes, I love that movie, actually. Yeah. I love that movie.
Yeah. She's in Office Christmas Party. Did you see that? Did you see that one?
Another comedy Christmas. Man, she loves those.
Yeah. Yes. She's a lot of that. She's great, man. She's really funny. But she plays this woman. It's based on a true story, actually. And she's this woman who's just kind of lost. She's a little bit overweight. She drinks a lot, parties a lot. Just lives in New York City. Really kind of directionless. And she goes to the doctor one day, and her doctor's just like, okay, you need to slim down a little bit, I want you to lose. Gives her a set goal to lose, or weight loss, a set amount to lose. And
wow, so
she's
interesting, relatable movie for a lot of people. Yeah,
sure, totally. And she has a few setbacks and stuff, and she's really she's also kind of not the nicest person as well as starting out. And as she's in Workaholics.
Yes. Did you already say that?
Yes. No, I did not.
Oh, I know who she is. Yes. I love her.
100%.
She's hilarious. Yes. She's in she's the villain in 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, she is.
Yes, I love her.
I forgot about that.
She's awesome. She's hilarious.
Yes, she is. She's great, man. She's really great in this. But no, she just decides that she has a neighbor that is a super like jogger actor person, and so she decides that she wants to run the New York City Marathon. So she starts training to do that, and over time she loses weight gradually over time, and she actually lost in real life. Jillian Bell lost. She wound up losing like 40 pounds doing this role.
Wow.
But yeah, she loses a bunch of weight, and she just sees stuff a little bit better. Things start happening for her. People start treating her a little bit differently, and then she has a little setback. She hurts her ankle and has a little setback, and then. But it's a great. I'm not gonna spoil any of the rest, but it's really really good, really really good movie. I really enjoyed it. Very uplifting, and certainly if anybody that's going through anything like that, it's certainly inspirational.
Awesome. What was it on again?
It's on Amazon.
Oh, cool.
Amazon, called Brittany.
Is it an Amazon original or it's just there? It's just on there.
I'm not sure. I think it is an original Amazon original, but yeah, full feature film, and she's probably the only real notable name in it. I didn't really recognize anyone else in it.
Okay.
But everybody's the whole cast. The cast is great as well. It's really good. It's really really good. So I highly recommend it. Brittany runs a marathon. The other thing I watched is something that absolutely I think would have been in my top 10 if I had seen it.
Wow.
In 2019. I watched Fighting with My Family.
Oh, okay.
That movie's great.
Yeah, a lot. Everyone. I think Keith saw it. I'm pretty sure Jake saw it. They all loved it.
That movie's awesome. It's so good. So much heart. It's about Paige, their actual, which I didn't realize it was actually about Paige.
Oh yeah, the wrestler. Yeah,
I had no idea. I just thought it was just. I didn't know, but it's really really good. Florence Pugh, of course, who had a huge year this year. Who was our MVP again? Was it her?
I believe it was Scarlett Johansson.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You certainly could have made a case for her though.
Yeah, with the 3 movies that she did. Yeah,
Midsommar and
and
Little Women.
Well, I was disappointed with Midsommar overall. She was fantastic.
That's what
Midsommar was the first thing I've ever seen her in.
I was gonna watch that because that's on there as well on Amazon, but I chose this one instead just because it's a wrestling movie. I'm a slightly less than casual wrestling fan.
I used to love wrestling
during the see when you were probably in that era. It was
the Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Rock
era,
era,
Triple H and all that stuff, right?
I was obsessed with wrestling like I am with movies now.
Yeah,
that wrestling was, sports and wrestling were like my first love, I guess, my first fandom type thing that I was a part of, and shortly after that became music. But wrestling and I was dude. I had all the toys,
right,
and I had the wrestling ring and everything.
Yeah, man.
So
all right.
I've been wanting to check this movie out.
But even just the wrestling stuff aside, you don't even have to necessarily be a wrestling fan at all, really, because it's got so much heart. It's a full-on. It's a story. It's an underdog story of just a person kind of trying to persevere. It comes from nowhere and fights. I mean, everything's really working against her to try to make it. And I mean, spoiler alert, it's about Paige. Obviously, she's a famous wrestler,
of
so
course,
she does make it. But the way she gets there is it's a great story. It really,
Nick Frost
really
plays her dad, right?
Nick Frost is her dad.
Yeah.
Lena Headey is her mother.
Oh, nice!
Which I didn't know. I had no idea. Yeah, Vince Vaughn is really good in it. Really, really good. It's the movie. It's less. I thought it would be more kind of silly, slapsticky comedy. It's not that at all. Ready to Rumble was the one wrestling movie.
Oh,
I thought it would be like
slapsticky.
That. Yeah, it's not at all. I
actually like that movie though.
No. From what I hear, I
like Ready
funny.
to Rumble. Yeah.
It's not that at all. It's a real story with real. These are all real people. There's actually footage of all this stuff, that happens in it. And you'll see, this is a spoiler, not minor spoiler, but at the end credits, they actually show all the stuff you just saw in the movie. They have home video of all this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's also based on
I need
book,
to watch
apparently.
it. I've been wanting to watch that ever since it came out.
Yeah. It's really, really good, man. I'm telling you. And she's great in it, of course. I highly, highly recommend it. So, Fighting with My Family. And like I said, I think it would have made my top 10 for the year if I had seen it. If I had seen it in time.
That's awesome, dude. So I'm glad to hear that.
Really,
I definitely need to check it out. So I have been on the search for a show I can binge. I haven't had. I finished. The last thing I was binging was Lucifer, and I finally caught up. And now they're working on season 5 is coming out soon, and then they actually might do a season 6, which I'm so excited about. But in the meantime, I've started watching a show that I've been wanting to watch for a long time, and that is Mad Men.
Okay.
I am a big John Hamm fan, and obviously he kind of made his name on this show. And I honestly didn't even know what it was about. I just knew that a lot of people liked it, and it was a popular show. I really like it.
How far are you?
I'm just in season 1.
Boy.
Have you seen the whole thing?
I was in and out of it because Katie was watching it.
Yeah.
She watched the whole thing. There's a huge, I can't remember what season it was, but there's a huge thing that comes where I'm like,
really?
What? I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I'm already hooked, man.
Yeah, so I'm curious when you get there.
So John Hamm he's just the coolest guy, man.
I love him.
The way he carries himself. He's a great actor, first of all, but he also, you never know, but he seems just like a cool guy. And he also seems like he's not like hungry. He's not thirsty to be famous. I don't know how to explain it. Like, he doesn't have to be in the spotlight. He's just who he is, and he's just cool, chilling back. And I love that. And he is just the coolest dude on this show. And in the first season, in the first couple episodes, they talk about his character, about Don Draper, and they say, for all we know, he could be Batman, one of the admin. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, John Hamm. A young John Hamm. Even now, I wouldn't mind an older Bruce Wayne,
I would love to see
but
that.
he would be a perfect Bruce Wayne / Batman. He would make a perfect version of that. But Mad Men being about the ad agencies in, I think, the 1960s, and they worked on Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
So it was a play on Ad Men and Mad Men, but also the Mad Men it's like a triple thing because it's Ad Men, Mad Men for Madison Avenue, and they're crazy.
Yes.
And even where that young dude who works with them in the beginning of the series, the young dude who's like a complete asshole.
Yes.
Who's Allison Brie's husband in the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
He's straight up, he doesn't even care. He's just an asshole to everybody. John Hamm's character, he's a nice professional guy in the work environment, doesn't hit on or sleep with the ladies in the office, but then you find out he's not really that great of a guy.
Yes.
And there's certain things going on in the season that I'm like, wait a minute, that was a curveball, and what's going on with that? What does that mean? Who the hell is he? So, look, maybe you should finish the show because I'm going to be giving updates on it on here because
I might pick it back up.
I love it so far. And look, not to say I'm a bad guy or I want to be a bad guy, but I just want to be Don Draper. He's the coolest guy.
Super cool, yeah.
He just really is. He doesn't care about anything, and he does his job. And even though he's not a good person necessarily, I don't want to say he's a bad person, but even though he is morally questionable as a character,
He's a bad person.
the way he carries himself at work is very respectable because everyone else is just a douchebag. Right. And he's at least in the workplace.
He remains professional.
Exactly. And he kind of sets an example for everybody to act. So I like that about him. So, yes, Mad Men, it's my new show right now. But Emma, real quick. I talked a little bit about it on Apocalypse Now. Love Anya Taylor-Joy. She is awesome in this role. She is very... So, Emma, you know the character. Have you read the book?
I've never read it, no.
Okay. So, Emma... Speaking of bad people, Emma is not a good person at the beginning of the story. She's actually a terrible person. Yeah. And she's very cruel to people and very selfish.
Very selfish. I was just about to say.
And she, even by the end of the movie, and this is the traditional story, it's the same, basically all the same stuff happens.
Yeah.
Even when she makes her mistakes and fixes them, it's still like, no... You're still a bad person. You're still just a rude human being.
Selfish, and like you said.
And there's that notorious moment where she said something very rude to one of the people in the story, one of the ladies who talks a lot, and then that's like the turning point where she starts to realize that she's a bad person or whatever, and she just brings her a basket of fruit or something, and just forgive me. And it's just so funny. But Anya Taylor-Joy plays it so well. And it's that thing where the Emma character knows she's attractive,
Right.
and she knows she's rich, and she knows she's the shit, basically. And Anya Taylor-Joy carries herself so well. There's a scene where the stepbrother who she ends up falling in love with.
Right.
I still am confused of how they're related. Do you remember? They're not related, but they're somehow their families are connected, and I don't remember exactly how. Even when I was watching, I was like,
so long.
wait a minute, how is that? But
I think because
it's the thing like they're step siblings, because even in Clueless,
their parents were married at one point.
Oh, I think that's what it was. Their parents were together at some point.
And then they broke up a long time ago.
But they're still friendly, very friendly. Okay. And then, so anyways, there's a scene where him, the main guy, and then another guy, you think that they're both courting her or they're both interested in her, and they're both like letting her walk by, and she smirks. She just is like, oh yeah, I'm the shit. She gives such a good portrayal of it. So even if, it's not a movie you need to rush out to the theater to see, it's a really good movie. I think it has like an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's actually a really good film. But another good adaptation of Emma. I was thinking they need to stop making these. Not that I don't enjoy them, but this has to be the last one.
No. They're always going to...
Yeah, I know, right?
Looking at our list, there's like 10, 15 Pride and Prejudices.
I know.
There's a bunch of Wuthering Heights. There's a bunch of these.
The thing is, as long as they make them different enough. This was different enough. It had a different feel to it.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated that. Yeah. I did appreciate that. So later...
She was born in Miami.
Yeah, so she was born in... Anya Taylor-Joy,
looking at that, like,
not the Emma character. No. Anya Taylor-Joy was born in Miami, but her parents are not American.
No.
They're something else. And then she moved to England, and she grew up in England and became an actress. So she does have a British accent and everything, which I did not know.
Yeah.
So later on, we're going to talk about our favorite classic novel adaptations in honor of the newly released Emma. But let's move on. For our sports fans out there, let's move on to the warm-up, our sports segment of the Bartley and Barnes show. And I don't know how I want to handle this segment necessarily going forward. I don't want it to be where, let's talk about the news and sports. Not that. I just want to, whatever we want to talk about,
Topic.
So,
whatever. Yeah.
And I know we both have some things to say about this. So I chose, with Tom Brady's future uncertain, where he's going to be playing.
Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts, and I'll give mine. If he does not retire, which I don't think he is,
no.
What team do you think is the best fit for him? And you have to take some things into consideration, right? What team needs a quarterback? What team would, even if they have one, mediocre one or whatever, would actually bring Tom Brady in over their current quarterback? What cities and what franchises would Tom Brady go to? What pieces do they have? What coach do they have? So you got to consider all those things. But what do you think the best choice for him would be?
Quarterbacking in the NFL is bad. Here's the thing. Outside of, let's see, what we got? Wilson, we got Breeze, who's also on the downside of his career. Phillip Rivers on the downside of his career. Eli Manning just retired. Goff had a great year the year before last.
Yeah.
And this past season was not. I think he kind of caught some people off guard, and then once teams, they got some film on him, and then they figured him out. So, jury's still out on him. He can be good, but same thing with Mayfield and Cleveland. Like, he kind of caught some people off guard, and then kind of got exposed a little bit.
Yeah, which I was rooting for them, man.
Right.
I wanted them to do well, and it's still not over yet, but
you know what? It's hard, especially in all sports, but especially in the NFL. It's hard to play with expectations.
Oh, absolutely,
yeah. When everybody expects you to be good, and you expect to be good, and then it's a different thing when you get out there and actually play. So it's tough to say it was Brady, because every team could probably use him outside of maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Excuse me. Even at his, look, he's coming from like up here,
down
to average. So it's not like he can still probably. I think he could still play in the NFL.
He's still really good,
He's still
and
a very
it's
good
not
quarterback, right.
it's not just about his physical skill.
Yeah.
It's about obviously his experience. Probably has the most in NFL history as a quarterback, as far as playoff and Super Bowl experience, and also leadership. And he would elevate all the other players on the team, not necessarily talent wise, but mentality wise and everything.
He knows what to do. So you get to a certain point where you don't. It's not necessarily about coaching, or you need him to make this play. He can do it, and at this particular time, he can do it. So the stuff we saw at the end of the Super Bowl this year, Brady. Obviously, we're talking about 49ers, people out here are talking about Brady coming here to Northern California to play for the Niners.
No, I don't want that.
I don't think that's.
Look, I'm a Niners fan. I'm a Niners fan, and I don't want that, and I don't think it's going to happen. So.
But I was going to plays though.
I was going to use the Niners as an example of where like Jimmy Garoppolo is just good enough where they don't need to replace him with Tom Brady.
No, not at all.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I draw the line.
You're exactly right.
It's Jimmy Garoppolo.
Garoppolo at his age, Brady at his age. That's not what you want to do.
Exactly.
That's not moving forward.
And then what you do is, let's say, Garoppolo, took a team to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And let's say you did that. And that would be he was Brady's backup before, and that would just be ridiculous. But also, Garoppolo's done after that. Not overall, but in San Francisco. You think, is he going to become the backup for 1 or 2 years and then come back? No.
Well, it's going to be, I know we got different people in charge, but it's almost the Alex Smith Kaepernick thing, except in reverse. They chose the young guy that time. They gave up on him too soon.
Yeah.
But they chose the young guy, where in this time you're bringing in the older guy to replace the young guy, and it's like that's not the direction you go.
That's not happening.
Skew young. Don't go unless you're right there, and which the Niners are, but they can still be there for years to come. Or you're bringing in Brady, you're talking this year, and that's it. So you got to they bring in Brady. They have to win the Super Bowl this season because he's just about done after that. So it's going to be interesting to see where he does wind up. I'm sure he feels like he's going to play another 2-3 years. You're not playing another 2-3 years, Tom Brady. I don't think. Anyway.
Yeah. I think one solid good year this year.
Like Peyton Manning did his first year in Denver, where he was awesome. And then after that,
I could see something like that because
it was super decline,
the
sharp
talent
decline after that.
Can make Tom Brady better, depending on the team. Yeah. So looking at the options, what do you think would be the best fit?
He should go to Miami.
Miami.
Although they need so much, so I think they're Miami, stay in division. The Jets could be an option. I don't know if he'd ever go to the Jets. Because obviously they're bitter rivals, but outside of that, man, I don't know. Because like I said, there's a bunch of teams that probably could definitely use him.
Yeah. So I'm thinking
Minnesota,
people who don't have starting quarterback vacancy. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And I'm thinking, do they have the pieces for Brady to go there? So the Titans have not signed Ryan Tannehill, I don't believe. They haven't re-signed him. The Chargers have not re-signed Phillip Rivers.
Seems like Tennessee's are going to let Mariota go.
Oh, yeah. I never considered it. I thought they re-signed Tannehill if they do.
Yeah, it feels
So I think it's either going to be the LA Chargers because they have the talent. Austin Eckler is a better James White almost. I mean, James White's great, but Austin Eckler plays with so much electricity. No pun intended for the Chargers. But and then Keenan Allen is one of the best receivers in the NFL, and he's a tiny dude, like short-wise.
But is that a lateral thing? Going from Rivers to Brady?
I don't know. I think
Brady's older than Phillip Rivers.
No, I know, but I think ultimately Brady's a better quarterback even now.
Yeah.
Rivers is a little wild, and he just...
Oh, yeah, he's always been...
Yeah, and Brady, I don't think Brady would be, the top score, top stats quarterback in the league necessarily if he went to the LA to the Chargers. But if you look at Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry,
the running back,
Austin Eckler. I don't know if Melvin Gordon's going back or not.
Yeah.
Either way, if I'm looking at pass catchers, Gordon, Henry, Allen, Williams, I like that. And they're a solid team. They have a good coach. I think that would be a good fit. I also think Tennessee would be a great fit because those receivers, A.J. Brown is a monster. Yeah. He's going to be – we play fantasy football. He's going to be a top 10 wide receiver when we draft next year. Corey Davis was supposed to be as good as A.J. Brown is playing. Yeah. I still think their talent doesn't go away. I think Corey Davis is still good. And arguably not the best overall running back as far if you combine pass catching and running. That is Mr.
Derrick Henry.
No. Panthers running back. Why am I blanking on his name? Christian McCaffrey is because he's a receiver basically. Yeah. But if you're counting, he plays the running back position. But as far as a real running back, Derrick Henry is the best running back in the league. So you have somebody like that behind Brady with the receiving talent. They were great defense. They were there. I thought they could have beat the Chiefs. So, I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think they would be a great fit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. What? Man, there's another one I just had in mind. I totally lost it. Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Jacksonville would be another. I know they got Foles
and Gardner Minshew.
Yeah. He's gained some experience. He definitely showed flashes. So I don't know if he's a guy they want to make the franchise guy.
Yeah, I think they spent a lot of money on Nick Foles, so maybe they want to ride.
They definitely did, yeah. So yeah, you're right.
Maybe they want to ride that out
and
see how it goes. Yeah,
exactly.
For sure, man. All right, well, last week we talked about our top 10 favorite rappers of all time, and of that came our homework assignment. So homework is due, and it's time to talk about some of the rappers that we talked about. So I listened to Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, and I listened to Nas's
Yes.
Illmatic, both of them.
Yes.
And I asked you to listen to some Hopsin songs.
Hopsin.
Yes. So what did you get around to on Hopsin, man, and what are your thoughts on him overall?
Hopsin, I didn't listen to any albums. I just jumped around to a bunch of songs here because they put top songs on Google.
Oh, okay.
So I just went through those. He's interesting.
He's a very unique rapper.
Definitely he is. He's definitely the skills. That's no question. He's an MC.
Yeah, sure. Lyricist. Yeah.
So yeah, that wasn't an issue with me. I like Ill Mind of Hopsin 4.
Oh yeah,
that's the one I think I like the best.
Oh really?
But because I really like that beat, but he really went after some people.
Lil Wayne.
Went after Tyler the Creator.
Yeah. He kind of built his name off of dissing other rappers.
So,
yeah.
That's a thing that classically I've disliked what people do.
Like Eminem. Well, yeah. Eminem didn't necessarily do that he did that with pop stars.
But he was right.
Yeah.
And he came up as a battle rapper.
Yeah.
So, and you're right, he would just go after pop stars and stuff. He wasn't doing it to... He had the talent and ability. He had Dr. Dre backing him, so he didn't need to...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this guy, I like him. He's great, but just there's a lot of just criticism of the state of hip-hop. A lot of it, he's right.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is also, too, like, well, there's better stuff out there than you...
No, it's true, and he does acknowledge that, because he talks about Drake a lot, too.
Yeah.
And
Drake's another one.
He also, I've watched interviews with him, and he actually since then has came around on Drake, and he's like, I started listening to Drake, and he's like, look, I can't make a song like Hotline Bling like that. That's a hit. He's like, I have it as my ringtone. Like, I respect.
Sure.
And he in one of his songs he doesn't diss Kendrick. He just says Kendrick is like, so this is the guy everybody's saying is the bar for good rap these days.
I heard him say that.
It's not necessarily this. He even says in an interview, he says I'm not. Kendrick isn't a whack rapper. He's just like, I think the bar could be higher. Is what he's saying.
Yeah. Which I could get that sense from him. So I like a lot of it. I get where he's coming from. I get what he's saying.
He went after
Some people
Wayne so much on multiple songs, and it's funny because Lil Wayne's my favorite rapper of all time, and then I started the first song I ever heard from Hopsin. He's dissing Lil Wayne, and I wasn't like, oh hell no, you can't diss my dude. I was just like, whatever. I'm not even gonna worry about that. I'm just focusing on the other stuff in his songs. Yeah,
and I get it's genuine from him. Like he's not doing it he's not clout chasing. Like because a lot of rappers like 15, 20 years ago, rappers would do this to try to make their name.
Yeah, so he really, especially at this time when he was coming up, he really thought the rap game was just crap.
Yeah.
And he really
believe him. I believe from him. He's not doing it he's not chasing fame. Like he's, I think he, like you said, he knows he's never going to be that guy.
Of course. Yeah. He's very, I don't even want to say underground. He's more, I don't know how to say it, internet famous. I don't know.
Yeah. Now there was a thing, it was one of these, it was a skit, No Words, which I actually, when I started listening to it, I was like, oh, I've seen this. I've seen it on Facebook before. I think there's a video for it where he does the auto-tune
the mumble rap thing? Yeah.
That's what I heard. I was like, oh, okay, I've seen this before.
Oh, really? Nice, yeah.
It's really funny. And that one, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're 100%
exactly,
right.
Yeah.
But he's an interesting dude, man. He's an interesting dude. He's older than I thought. He's like 34.
Oh, yeah, he is older. He didn't blow up till he was like 28 or something.
That's right. Yeah.
So he's older. So I don't know if you picked this up from his songs, but so he was coming up in his 20s in LA area, and he was signed by Eazy-E's wife on Ruthless Records. Yeah. And in the song that kind of made him famous is Sag My Pants, he goes after her in that song, and it's like he talks about it all the time. So he signed to Ruthless Records. They made an album. They wouldn't put his album out. He couldn't sign with anyone else. He couldn't make music because of the contract that he was in, and he kind of got screwed over. Right. And then they finally put out his album, and it just tanked because there was no momentum or anything. No
promotion.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
No nothing behind it. No, they just put it out.
And then once he got out of that, he just did everything on his own. He made his own beats, shot his own videos, everything.
And you get the sense of why. That's why he has the attitude that he has, because they put a lot into much lesser talented people.
Yeah.
So getting all that and kind of reading about him, and I definitely get that. I get that from him. So he's just got very witty. I like his delivery. He does a lot of funny voices, and he's good, man. I'm glad you put me on to him, because he's one of those guys I think people like. It's like it seems like people should know more about.
Yeah, exactly. And I like all types of rap. And we were talking about, you like the commons, but you also like the rappers who you said like braggadocious rappers, the ones who are just just showing off their talent, or just how much swag they have or whatever. Like I like all kinds of hip hop and rap, and there's room for people to like this kind of stuff and this kind of stuff. Like him and Lil Wayne are the furthest things from each other, and they're two of my favorite rappers. And so Hopsin, a lot of his songs a lot of his songs, I listen to them when I'm just like in a bad mood, and it makes me feel better because he sees the world for what it really is, and the way that I see it, and that it's just all a big, it's just we're all just pawns.
Show
all of us are, and it's like
fully, it's completely.
And he talks about that a lot in a lot of his songs, and he has this song called "Fly," which is just, it's all kind of about that, and in the video, it shows like business executives, they're like playing a video console, and it's like us, they're controlling us and everything, and those type of people trying to send that message never become famous, or he's famous, he is 2.8 million subscribers on YouTube. Right. He's a millionaire. He's made tens of millions of dollars. But he's not mainstream, So, and the thing is with him is I was telling you about how he's like won't put out an album. He's like goes away and he's living in Thailand or something.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because he thinks he's like, and he talks about it. He's like, I'm not as recognized as I feel like I should be. And he says that's like kind of the reason why he struggles with that kind of stuff. But yeah, but I'm glad you finally checked him out, man. I mean, at least like I like to make people aware of him, at least to recognize the talent, you know, for sure.
You've been telling me about him for like a year.
For a while. Yeah, for a while. So now I listened to Nas Illmatic first, and I've heard songs from the album, of course. And I actually have heard Whose World Is This before plenty of times, and that's a great song. But I'm trying to think of the song names, but see, I kind of just listened to it all the way through without listening to the song names. Right. But I've always liked Nas, but this is very different Nas. The Nas I listened to was like mid 2000s Nas, late,
very different.
Yeah, and he was, I don't want to say, I don't know, he was never really a sellout at all or a mainstream. He was always mainstream. He's famous and everything, but it was very different.
Time you got to him, he's rich and he's like an elite rapper.
Exactly.
This is Nas starting out, so it's totally different.
Yeah, I was listening to Nas like, and I can't stop now. You know that song with Diddy, like that Nas, and so I've always said a great lyricist, acknowledged him as one of the best, but I never really listened to a lot of his stuff, and he's very talented. He's a lot of this stuff was, and it's funny because him and Jay-Z were coming out shortly after, if not at the same time as Pac and Biggie, and a little bit after.
His album came out the same year as Biggie's first album, Ready to Die. Both their first albums were 94.
So it was Illmatic 94.
Mm-hmm.
So Nas came out before Jay-Z?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
About 2 years before Jay-Z.
And we talk about, Biggie and Tupac all get a lot of attention, and we talk about how they were ahead of their time. So was Nas, and so was Jay-Z. We'll talk about it in a second. And I just, overall, it grew my appreciation for Nas. There's a couple lines, man, that he says that I was just like, oh my goodness, that's like, he's killing it. And those are things that people, if they heard today, would be like, oh damn, like because my brother's a big hip hop fan too, and he overheard me listening to some of it, and I rewinded one of the songs, like listen to what he said, and then I'm like, can you imagine that in the 90s he was saying that stuff? And it was just so cool. I really liked the first song. Yeah. The one that the album opens up with.
New York State of Mind.
Yeah. And I love when he's, not that he's rapping fast, but he's just going steadily for a long time without any breaks. Yeah. And very different from Jay-Z. Jay-Z is a slow rapper, if you will. Like just chilled back, relaxed, more. But Nas is just like a steady, flow. So I really did appreciate that, and I'm all about lyrical rap and multiple syllables, rhyming and stuff like that, and Nas was doing a lot of that during this time. I mean, always has. So I did enjoy it. And the thing is, all right, so I always liked Nas. I always liked him more than Jay-Z. And so I was impressed with Illmatic, very much so. But it was like, okay, I knew he was great. Jay-Z, I have not been the biggest fan of Jay-Z my entire life. Not that I've disliked him at all. There's plenty of his songs that I freaking love. Mm-hmm. But same thing, the Jay-Z in my head is the famous Jay-Z. The making songs with Pharrell Jay-Z. That's the Jay-Z that I grew up with. Yeah. So this Jay-Z is different. So as far as like, if I was on a scale of 1 to 10, a 7 for Nas, like Illmatic bumped it up to, I'm an 8 now of Nas. Yeah. If I was a 4 of Jay-Z, listening to Reasonable Doubt jumped him up to an 8. So you see what I'm saying? The jump that these albums did for me as rappers, the Jay-Z jump was bigger because this made me appreciate Jay-Z more because I haven't been the biggest fan of him. Mm-hmm. And my favorite song on the album is I'm Feeling It. I love that song. So I have a playlist on on my phone where I call it like my slappers mix, and it's just songs I keep in rotation, and I added that song to that rotation because and that song, several other songs on the album, it's like that lyrical rap as well. And it's funny to me because was he always doing the no writing thing?
Yeah. He says, I think he says he started doing that. Maybe it might have been during this album.
Yeah. Well, either way, regardless, it doesn't matter.
He said he would just remember.
Good lyrics are good lyrics either way, but I love his first verse, and I'm feeling it. It's such a great.
That's one of my favorite songs on there.
Such a great verse.
That one is a song called D Evils, which is up there for me. The whole
D Evils. Okay, so all right. First of all, I'm feeling it is just a slapper like that. More people should bump that song, but also the song with him and Biggie.
Yes,
Jay-Z kills it on that song. So does Biggie, but Jay-Z kills it on that song. And then I don't know if it's is it D Evils? I don't know if it's that song, but there's a song where it's Can I Kick It? Yes, I can. What is that song called? Is it called Can I Kick It?
That is 22 Twos.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
If you think Jay-Z can't rap, listen to 22 Twos. It was 22 Twos? Yeah. Listen to 22 Twos. So
and it's 22 Twos.
When I like a lot of Eminem songs, Lil Wayne songs, Hobson songs, like whenever a rapper like says a line or spits a series of bars that really impress me, I get the chills.
Yeah.
And there was like 6 to 8 bars straight in 22 Twos that Jay-Z said, and I was like, damn, that was dope. So overall, like I've listened to dozens of each of their songs before, but I never sat down and listened to each of their full albums. So I'm glad you made me do it. I appreciate it.
That is exactly what I tell people whenever that I encounter friends of mine that are like that about Jay-Z. We're like, I'm like, listen to Reasonable Doubt. And then because I tell people, you gotta listen to Jay-Z. Like you get, because there's like the stuff you hear that you've heard over the years on the radio, the stuff with Pharrell or the kind of the popular stuff. And stuff with Kanye or stuff. But like, he seems like he's this mainstream rapper. Like, you gotta listen to him. Like he's
and I think that's the mistake a lot of people make because, and it makes me understand why, like, when I talk about Lil Wayne so highly, because a lot of people only know the lollipop Lil Wayne.
Right.
They never listen to Carter 1 or Carter 2.
Right.
So that's probably those same people who only know the Crazy in Love Jay-Z
exactly.
and never listen to Reasonable Doubt.
Actually listen to him. Or even not even, you're right, 100%, but just listen to an album of his and just listen to him rap. Like,
exactly.
You'll be like, oh my God. Like that's why it blows my mind when people are like, Jay-Z is not, like, it's fine if you don't like him, but you cannot listen to Jay-Z and be like, he can't rap. Like,
no, yeah, and even I never said that.
I don't know.
Yeah. But I know what you mean. Yeah, I'm like, because I've heard people say Jay-Z sucks or
I'm like, you're not
those type of things, and there, exactly. And there's a few people that I know who Jay-Z is their favorite rapper. Yeah. So and he's one of the greats. I mean, the thing is, you got to look at. For me, you have to look at the hip hop heads, the rap heads, and then the rappers themselves and the people involved in the industry. Yeah. Who do they respect?
Exactly.
And it's always Jay-Z, Eminem, Nas. They know, and like you said, like Fabulous,
Jadakiss,
the fans don't. The casual music fans only know that I'm So Into You, Fabulous. Right. But the rap game respects Fabulous,
right.
And
exactly.
he really is. So that was fun, man. I love talking hip hop. Yes. We'll talk hip hop more on this show. And I was thinking, maybe if like, let's say J. Cole drops a new album or something, right? Like that, we can review it.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Like not every rap album that comes out, but the ones that we want to talk about. So whenever there's one who's coming out and you want to listen to it, let's like We'll exchange notes and we'll talk about it on the show. We'll review some rap albums, something we don't get to do often. All right. Well, going from hip hop to literature, which is not too far off. Hey, this all kind of ties in, right? Because
absolutely,
hip hop artists are just the Jane Austens of today, right? So favorite book to film adaptation or favorite classic novel adaptations. So one of mine listed down is the 1996 Emma. We don't have to talk about that for a lot, but I do like that movie a lot.
Yeah. Maybe it would Gwyneth Paltrow probably perfectly cast.
Oh yeah,
to play that kind of
yeah. So the thing is, I liked Anya Taylor-Joy as Emma, but she is like a teenage girl. Even though Anya Taylor-Joy is in her 20s, I'm just saying she's like a teenage girl in modern day Emma in a way, While Gwyneth Paltrow is kind of playing the classic Emma.
Right.
It's kind of how it feels.
Yeah.
So I do love that movie. So no surprise here. So my One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a classic novel by Ken Casey, and we've talked about that on Apocalypse Now. We had Jake watch it. You haven't seen it yet either.
Yeah.
You do need to watch that. But I read the novel first in high school, and I love that novel. It's one of my favorite novels of all time, and the movie is incredible with Jack Nicholson portraying McMurphy. So that might be my number one. So it's hard because, like I said, I started listing like literature novel, like these like Cuckoo's Nest, Great Gatsby, Emma, and then I was like, wait a minute, Lord of the Rings is
I didn't think about that.
Is considered.
Yes.
You don't think about it as that way,
right.
But it is. And if I, we're not doing a ranking or anything. We're just talking about some of our favorites. But it's either because Fellowship of the Ring is my favorite Lord of the Rings film.
Yeah.
And if someone said, "What's your favorite book adaptation of a movie?" It might be Fellowship of the Ring, or it might be Cuckoo's Nest. So those are my top two. What are your favorites? I have a couple more listed, but
so many. Yeah. But one coming off of about a month and a half ago. 2 months ago now. Little Women, certainly. I've always loved that story.
Oh, so is the new one your favorite iteration of it?
I'm still deciding. I think so. I really obviously the one from 95, 94, I think. Susan Sarandon and oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Winona Ryder.
Oh yeah.
Young Kirsten Dunst. That one's the most popular one. This new one's really good though. It's really really good, man. I love.
So what? If you tell me because I'm gonna watch the Greta Gerwig Little Women, but can you tell me what is the plot of the story?
So it's four sisters. Got Amy, Jo, Beth, and Meg.
Okay.
I can't remember their last names. What's wrong with me? Blanking on that. But and their mother, March. Their last name is March. And it's told mostly from the perspective of Jo. Jo March. She's a writer. Its story is kind of Louisa. The author's Louisa May Alcott.
Okay.
And it's kind of sort of her story.
So is that Saoirse Ronan's character?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And in the 94 one, it's Winona Ryder.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's a writer, and it's very much about like gender roles in society.
Oh, I've seen the trailer. About a woman has to be like find love or something.
Right,
that's her only purpose.
And Joe's like
type thing. Yeah,
I don't want to do that. I want to.
Okay.
Travel,
Yeah.
And I want to. She's just very kind of free spirited, free thinking, which was a radical thing at the time. In a lot of ways, it still kind of is, but unfortunately, but yeah, and so it's about her relationship with her three sisters and their mom, and their aunt, who's just kind of this crabby old lady. She's very wealthy, but they struggle with money at times. Like they go from being very well off to being very very poor, and struggling to take care of themselves. And each one of their kind of just different things about each one of them in their lives and stuff they're going through, and relationships, and it's really 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 good. I think it's a great story. Great for I have three daughters, and so
yeah,
it's a great thing for them to see. And
did you take them?
certainly, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
totally. Yeah,
Did they like
100%.
it?
Oh, they loved it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, you're so lucky. Most kids would not even appreciate that movie at all, and you have kids who will watch it and appreciate it. So
they read it and they loved the original, not original, but the '94 version as well. So they love Little Women.
That's awesome.
So that'd probably be my top one. But going through, there's so many. Scarlet Letter. I read Scarlet Letter in high school. It's a terrible story. I mean, it's a great story, but it's terrible what happens to Hester Prynne, I think is her name.
So which movie?
But I forgot. Easy A is an adaptation of the Scarlet Letter. Which,
is it really?
Yes, I totally forgot about that.
Wow.
I scrolled through and I went, that's right. So I would probably go with that because I really enjoyed Easy A. I nearly put it on my decade list because Emma Stone is.
Emma Stone. It was Emma Stone. Yeah.
She's great in that movie, man. That was the first one where I saw her where I was really like, I really like her. Like she's super bad, of course, but she kind of had a smaller role in that. But I think that's the one where she kind of got on people's radar here. There was the one that went past and went, I love that. Stand By Me, very good.
Oh yes, good one.
Great one. Yeah. Lord of the Flies.
Oh, I almost put that on my list.
Yeah.
But that movie and the novel.
Right.
Oh man, so hard to watch.
Yeah, exactly. exactly.
But it is great. It should be on my list. Yeah.
But just scroll The Great Gatsby. That's another one.
So which Great Gatsby adaptation?
Okay, see, that's the thing.
Okay. I like the Baz Luhrmann one.
I did not.
I do. Much. No. So it's not the best one.
I just don't. The Robert Redford one?
That's the quintessential movie adaptation one that everyone goes to. But The Great Gatsby.
I think I just don't like that story.
Overall?
I really like that story.
The Great Gatsby story? Yeah, I do. And The Great Gatsby is...
We just throw parties.
Probably my favorite novel of all time, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of them. It's up there.
Okay.
It's up there with...
Yeah?
It's up there with Cuckoo's Nest, Catcher in the Rye, and
that is good.
Great. They need to...
That's a good one.
They can't make a Catcher in the Rye movie because the author would not allow the rights. He would...
Really?
The author, I forget his name right now. I know his name. He's a famous author.
I like Catcher in the Rye.
It's such a good movie.
I actually just listened to a podcast
It's such a great book. I need to revisit. Oh, J.D. Salinger does.
J.D. Salinger, yeah.
If you know him, he's a very private guy. He did not want to be famous or anything like that, and he just was a great writer. And he would not let them, because they would have made a million movies of it by now. They would not. He would not let them adapt the movie or adapt the book into a movie. And obviously, his family owns the rights to it now, and I'm sure they're honoring his wishes. Yeah. They have to. I mean, how could they not? That'd be kind of messed up.
I like Catcher.
I wish.
That would be,
Man, I wish they would make I would love to see a movie about it. Yeah. And I always imagined Dane DeHaan playing the main character.
Sure. Wouldn't
that be great?
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Great Gatsby is one of mine, and we can't forget the Harry Potter movies. I considered putting them on there, and if I have to choose,
in my head, I kind of just had, I don't know why, I was mostly thinking American literature. Obviously, Pride and Prejudice and stuff.
And like Emma.
But Sense and Sensibility. There's so many. There's a million of both of those.
I want to watch the Sense and Sensibility because when I was looking up classic novel adaptations, it was popping up number one on all the lists.
Yeah. I've never. Yeah, it's the same here. I've never.
I need to watch it. Yeah.
I love Wuthering Heights. Have you ever seen or read Wuthering Heights?
I know of it.
It's a good story. I actually really like that too. My mom loved Wuthering Heights, like one of the 40s ones or whatever. Yeah. When I was a kid, she was always watching it whenever it would come on AMC. Back when AMC was literally just American movie classics. That's a really good one. I would recommend that too. But yeah, man, that's bumming me out now. Yeah, Catcher in the Rye, that'd be a good one. That'd be a really good one. But as far as the Great Gatsby though, I think I just don't like that story that much.
Really, it's kind of
it's frustrating, and
it's kind of I don't know how to say it. It's kind of a pretentious story. It's like about
Let me throw
everyone
parties so
involved in it is bad
Yes.
people. Maybe not Nick Carraway, maybe not the narrator.
Yeah.
But he's not a hero or anything either. He's not doing anything to help the situation at all.
Yeah.
He's kind of just there watching everything.
Yes.
But I do like that story because I kind of like the idea that he has everything he could possibly ever want, but the only thing he really wants is her. And I think it's kind of cool to like throw parties just hoping that she'll arrive one day. I think that's kind of like a cool romantic idea. So have you only seen the Leonardo DiCaprio one?
Yeah, I actually never watched the Robert Redford one.
Oh, okay. Have you read the novel?
I've skimmed through.
Okay.
I read the Cliff
So,
Notes in
all
high
right.
school,
If
but
you've
I've never actually
only
read it.
seen the Baz Luhrmann adaptation, then that's not. I enjoy it.
Oh no, 100%.
I enjoy it
With like the modern
because
songs and stuff.
it's Leonardo DiCaprio starring in maybe my favorite novel adaptation.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it, but it's not the best movie.
No,
I don't even you don't even have to watch a movie. Read the novel. Yeah. The novel does the story justice.
Yeah.
Because F. Scott Fitzgerald is. I've read a lot of his stuff, and I love him as a writer.
There's a lot of stuff with him, and this is the case with a lot of these works where they never lived to see their work become
famous. Their work became.
This book didn't do well when it came out.
Him and Ernest Hemingway, I love those authors, and I haven't seen a lot of Ernest Hemingway adaptations. There was a classic of A Farewell to Arms adaptation, which I love that book. Which I need to watch, but it was like from 1936, the movie.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Pride, Predators, and Zombies is a great one. I should have put that on my list because I love that. Is so much fun.
Yeah,
it is. I'm telling you, it's like it is like a old timey Zombieland.
Right.
That's kind of what it is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, you mentioned one, Bride of Frankenstein, apparently.
Oh yeah, Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So there's two Alfred Hitchcock movies based on novels. One is the obvious one, Psycho.
Yeah.
So I watched the original Psycho. I've seen it plenty of times, but so the professor I'm taking right now, who's in the horror film class professor. About 3 semesters ago, I took his British film class.
Oh, okay.
And we watched Psycho. And that was my first time watching it in a long time.
All right.
And, great. It's a great movie. And then we watched it again for this horror class. But he doesn't know. He's not planning necessarily that it's the same students because you have to watch it in a horror film class.
Right.
And I don't know how it was. You've seen Psycho, right?
Yes.
When's the last? It's been a while. So he was going through some scenes the other day, and he was showing the scene where how Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates, how he's, and I guess before that he was like a leading man, charming guy, and then once he played Psycho, no one would ever see him the same. And he was typecast, and he started in the Psycho sequels, but he can never get away from that.
That happened to Christopher Lee. He played Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't get away from being Dracula.
And we watched Dracula in our British film class as well.
Yeah.
And we watched the original Dracula in this horror class. But there's this scene at the end of Psycho where they have him locked up, and he's sitting there, and his mom is talking in his head, but it's him.
Yeah.
It's coming from his conscious, but it's her. She's like, my son has always been a bad boy. And she's like, but me, I'm just this little innocent old woman. She's like, I'm just going to sit here, and they'll never suspect me. And there's like a fly on his hand, and she's like, they'll say she'll never hurt a fly. But in his head, he thinks it's his mom, but it is his mom, but him as his mom. Yeah. And then the camera fades, and it shows his face fading into the skull of his mother while they pull the car of the girl he killed out of the lake. And I'm just like, That scene is incredible.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that made me, I got to throw that on here because it is based off a novel. But my favorite Hitchcock film is called Rebecca. I don't know if you've heard of it. Yeah, it is also based on a classic novel.
Yeah.
Okay. And Rebecca is amazing. I took a Hitchcock film class and we watched a dozen Hitchcock films. This or Rear Window, which have you seen Rear Window? No. Oh my God, Rear Window. It was in theaters. It's hard to say that's not my favorite, but Rebecca is. It's not the same story at all, but it reminds me of Gone Girl in a way, and it is epic. That movie is incredible. So those are some of my favorites. Definitely, Cuckoo's Nest, Rebecca, and Lord of the Rings. But honorable mention is Casino Royale. The Bond movies are based on novels, and I guess Casino Royale was adapted from the very first James Bond novel. Yep. So, and Casino Royale is my favorite James Bond movie.
Ian Fleming was a real spy in World War II.
Yeah.
People don't know. My son here's another honorable mention for you. My son in his English class, they've been doing To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, well, that's a great movie as well.
We haven't watched it. He read it, and I've been helping him. He did a whole report on it.
Nice.
Whole thing about the hero's journey and just breaking that book down.
Yeah. You guys should watch the movie.
Yeah, that's what I told him, man. We just gotta watch it. I never actually watched it before. So, yeah, that's really good, man. Really, really good. Atticus Finch, one of the great characters we've had in cinema and in literature, written book form, whatever, books. So that's a great one. Yeah, that'd be an honorable mention for me.
Awesome.
To Kill a Mockingbird. And he really enjoyed it, too.
Yeah. So. Awesome. Well, let's fit in speaking of books, right? So Turn the Page is a segment I would wanting to introduce. We didn't have time last week, so we'll do it this one. And this is where we just choose one recommendation out there to the audience, maybe to each other if we haven't read it before. And that can be a comic book, a novel, a poem, if you want, a play, whatever you want, it can be. And I have a comic book this week. So I started reading comics back I've read comics before in my life when I was a kid, but I started really reading comics in about 2014, I want to say. Heavily, just really started getting into it. And I was reading a lot of Marvel and DC, but then I read this started reading this Image comic. My buddy DeMont recommended it to me, called Kill or Be Killed.
Kill or Be Killed, yes.
By Ed Brubaker. Mm-hmm. It is to this day, and I'm no comic book expert. I've not read a lot of comics in my life, but it is to this day the best thing I've ever read in comics. It is such an incredible story. It deals with suicide and these moral dilemmas while fitting it into this kind of vigilante /horror /religion thing, and it's super cool. You've obviously heard about it. They are in development of a movie adaptation of it. But yeah, Ed Brubaker is one of the greats, and he wrote a lot of stuff, and he's kind of just doing his own, being able to make his own stuff over at Image right now.
Winter Soldier, that's his.
Yeah. I was gonna say some Captain America runs. And I recommend Kill or Be Killed. If you can get the trades, it is such an amazing story. It's so good.
Dimple Records was closing here in Sacramento, Dimple Records, and I have 2 of those issues.
What?
I got the first 2, yeah.
You got the number 1?
I'm pretty sure.
Dude,
I'll
because
double check and see if it's number 1. I think it's number 1, though.
When it first came out, my buddy recommended it, and then his comic book store, he was going to this little hole in the wall one, and he asked them to hold it for him, and something happened where they missed it, and they couldn't hold it for him. Yeah. They forgot, or something happened, and he was pissed. And it was just selling out everywhere. And if you tried to get on Amazon, it was like $12.99, but still for one single issue, they're $3.99. And so I go to A1 Comics in Roseville. Well, I used to go to Roseville, and I just stayed there because I know the people there, and I'm just like, I don't mind driving there. It's not too far from me. So I called them and I was like, hey, do you guys have any number ones of Killer Be Killed? And they were like, we have one more. I was like, can you put it in my saver? And they saved it for me. And he ended up buying one online for like $13. But it was just funny because he's the one who wanted it. And because he told me about that, I was like, can you throw that in my saver? And they did. I love A1 Comics. I don't know if they're only up here in Northern California, but they are incredible. They always have, like, they take care of you if you are a returning customer, and they ask, let's say, for example, because I have them put all the Harley Quinn in my saver. So if there's a Harley Quinn spinoff thing, they'll throw it in my saver too, and if I want it, like, I'll get it. And for example, the next Ed Brubaker story on Image called Criminal, that was doing the same thing where it was coming out highly anticipated. I wasn't paying attention, to like comic news, and that was hard to number one to get a hold of. They saved it for me just because I was reading Killer Be Killed. So type of things like that. Yeah. But yeah, definitely if you have not, did you take a look at those?
Like, no, I didn't read it yet. It's been sitting in a box at my mom's house.
Yeah, if you have the number one, check it out. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I actually remember him talking to him. He's telling me about that as well. When early iterations of Bartley and Barnes, we were doing it over there. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So mine's a novel. Well, not a novel. It's I don't know. Novel. It's a book. Easy Ride. Oops, sorry, it's playing. Sorry, I accidentally pressed play. It's called Easy Riders and Raging Bulls.
I think I've heard of that.
You probably have, by Peter Biskind. I don't know which one that is, but yeah, you get it on. I'm listening to it on Audible right now. I'm about nearly halfway through. So
this is your first time experiencing it?
Yes, I heard about this book on a podcast probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I was listening, Kevin Connolly from Entourage.
Is it How Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Generation Saved Hollywood?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, actually, Kevin. I was listening to Jerry Ferrara's podcast, Turtle from Entourage, and he had Kevin Connolly on, and they were talking about it, and they were like, "Man, if you love movies, if you're a
interesting.
fan,
I have a couple credits on Audible. I might check it out.
Honestly, I'm telling you, it's.
Is it a fictional novel?
No. It's about that era of Hollywood, and it's about 70s Hollywood.
Okay.
And Coppola, Scorsese,
really,
Spielberg, Lucas, Brian De Palma. It talks about the movie, the making of Easy Rider. That movie.
Who voices the Audible?
His name's Dick Hill.
Okay. Oh, damn. It's from 98.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got to check that out. I'm going to pull it up on Audible right now.
The story of how The Godfather was made is crazy.
Really?
And the producer that was trying to take credit for it and was just fighting Coppola on it, and it was going over budget and this and that, whatever. This guy, one of the producers, he wanted him to cut it down to like under 2 hours.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. He wanted him to cut a whole bunch of stuff. And the story of Easy Rider and what a maniac Dennis Hopper was.
Add it to my wish list on Audible.
Dennis Hopper was a psychopath. Legitimately.
Wow. I'm curious now. I want to check this out.
So, yeah, it's basically, just Hollywood in the 70s and how you hear some of these stories, and obviously with everything that's going on now, obviously with the whole Me Too movement and all these stories of you can tell it's all trickled down from this era of Hollywood. And it's like, you can get why Hollywood is the way it is now. Just listen to this and read about how Hollywood was in the 60s and 70s, and it's like, man, they got a ways to go to change the culture of Hollywood if it ever does happen. But it is very fascinating if if you're interested in that era of filmmaking and just the way studios thought at the time, and you're just like, who would think that way? Like, you're an idiot. Like, this is, it's crazy. We could have been studio execs back then, and we did. It's hard to explain. But,
so that sounds fascinating. I wasn't sure.
It really is
what that was about, but it sounds really fascinating.
I'm telling you, each one of us, we should all read it. I mean, if you're a movie fan,
wow.
If you're a movie cinephiles like we all are,
so
must
looking at the title, I was like, I thought it was more about actual rock and roll.
No,
but it's more about that era of Hollywood and and the lifestyles and everything.
Yep. And all, like I said, all those big guys, all the big dogs, like I said, the Coppola, Lucas, Scorsese, all those guys, Spielberg.
Nice.
They talk about Jaws and stuff and how that. Just
awesome. Hey, well, I'm always.
It's crazy.
I'm always looking for a good audiobook, man.
Highly recommend.
All I do when I drive is listen to podcasts and audiobooks.
One
music occasionally, but
yeah.
Definitely a lot of. I love me some audiobooks. All right, man. Well, to wrap up the show, as always, let's assign some homework assignments. And I wasn't sure what mine was going to be for you this time around, but I realized it as we were talking about something, and I want you to watch Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca. I'm sure, being a film fan yourself, you want to watch some of the Hitchcock movies that you haven't seen. I'm sure you've talked about wanting to watch, is it North by Northwest? North by Northwest. You should, but I really want you to check out Rebecca, because we watched it in our film class, and I was so just shocked. I was like, because as a kid, I used to think old movies were dumb, and that's just how you are as a kid. And no, that's not the case at all. And this movie, as soon as I was, because you don't learn anything about it. He just like, oh, we're watching Rebecca now, and then puts it on. And then I was like, that movie had to have been critically acclaimed or something. And I looked it up, and it was nominated for a lot of stuff that year. And this little tidbit, Alfred Hitchcock never won an Oscar.
Yeah.
So I believe this movie won Best Picture that year, but he was not one of the producers. So he directed the movie, but the director doesn't get the Oscar for Best Picture unless they were one of the producers. The producer gets the best. So one of the greatest directors of all time, if not, some people say he is the greatest. Never won an Oscar, which is crazy.
Which is bizarre, yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't know. They're saying it's on Netflix. If not, there's because it's so hard, it's hard to find these movies. So it's on YouTube for free. So you have 2 weeks, so check it out. It's a very interesting movie, and it feels very modern, even though it's an older film.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I was going to recommend. Let's see. Another, if you're up for it, another Jay-Z album.
Okay. Hey, this is what this is about, man. Homework assignments. We can assign albums. We can assign comics. We can assign TV shows. Well, we said you can't assign a whole series to someone, but you could assign, let's say, the first 3 episodes of a series to somebody, and then they can decide on themselves whether they want to continue it or not. But yeah. So you got an album for me?
Well, strongly, I was thinking about that. There was a series I was like, because it'd be quite an undertaking. So I'll save that.
Okay.
And I want to watch Breaking Bad before. I meant to do that on my.
Oh yeah.
So Jay-Z's 3rd album.
Okay.
It's called Life and Times of. No, I'm sorry. What is it called? It's Hard Knock Life. It's the one with Hard Knock Life on it.
Oh, okay.
Hard Knock Life. It's called Volume 2. So his 2nd album was called In My Lifetime. It was Volume 1. This one's Hard Knock Life.
Oh, okay.
Volume 2, and then Volume 3 was Life and Times with Sean Carter. But
when did Blueprint come out?
Blueprint was that one. He had Dynasty, and then Blueprint came out in 2001.
So was that his 6th album?
That was
album?
his 5th.
Okay.
That one came out on 9/11, the same day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah.
All right, man.
Maybe,
well,
so Jay-Z Volume 2.
All right. Well,
and there's a specific reason I had you skip his 2nd album and go to this.
You've already made me a bigger Jay-Z fan with Reasonable Doubt, so hopefully that'll do the same. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up this episode of Bartley and Barnes. Thank you, everybody, for listening or watching to this episode. Or watching to this episode. Yes, that's what you do here at Bartley and Barnes. To this episode, again, I am Jacob Bartley. That is Keith Barnes. This is the Bartley and Barnes show and podcast. Look at that t-shirt. That's so cool. Look at my t-shirt. Go to tpublic.com, search Apocalypse. You can find that t-shirt, this t-shirt. You can get them in different colors. You can find my Power Rangers podcast t-shirt on there as well. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we haven't really talked about it on this show yet, but this YouTube channel is now officially the Bartley and Barnes YouTube channel. Keith, the name is changed. The header is changed. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. And you know how on YouTube the color scheme changes based on what's in your header, and now it's all the purple, dark purplish blue that became our theme, I guess.
Yes.
But the header looks pretty cool. So, and we'll get a new logo image in there as well. Thank you all for listening. We will see you next 2 weeks from now.